I actually am still in my fertility journey. I hate the word journey sometimes. I just feel like it's ongoing. And I'm actually a yoga teacher, and I thought that I had all these tools that were going to help me through all these emotions. But I actually found myself getting depressed and feeling out of control. And that's when I found the women's health specific training with Tiffany Cruikshank. And that's just completely changed everything for me, because it actually gave me back some control, because I could then create programs that I felt like specific to my cycle, something that I felt like was missing before. And then also, really, for me, it gave me back my mind-body connection, which I think I kind of lost for a while, because I think you can get kind of angry with your body and feel like it's not doing this thing that you want. And these classes have just been, for me, getting back into my body and feeling the emotions physically, as well as thinking my emotions in my head. So hopefully you'll find that today in the class. So I will just quickly mention the class today is focused on compression and circulation, because pretty much every phase of your cycle, you'll find that you want to be doing either of those. So just to make sure that we fit with everybody, if it's your period, you want to be expelling the lining completely. So that's where the circulation helps. With the follicular phase, you want to be building the lining for implantation. So this is where the compression will come in. And for ovulation, some more compression to localize the blood flow to that area. And then again, for luteal, we want to circulate, getting ready for either implantation or the expelling of the lining again. And if you're not in any of those phases for any reason right now, this class is still going to be useful for you, because my intention is this practice will give you some time to get back into your body, like I said. So hopefully you saw that I use lots of props. If you don't have them, it's absolutely fine, and you can still take the class without all the props. Just ignore me when I say probably use the roll a lot. So hopefully you have a blanket or a towel, and all we're going to do is just roll it up, just like a little sausage, and then just have that to the right side of your mat, and we'll use that throughout the flow. You can keep it on the right side. And then any other props you might like or need, bolsters or blocks, just grab those now and have those. And I'm going to count down the playlist so that we all kind of are in the same ballpark with it. So if you've got the playlist there and you want to have that along as well, we'll start in 3, 2, 1, play. And we're going to be starting in Supta Baddha Konasana. So that is with our soles of the feet together, knees out wide, and then laying on your back. Option here, if you do have a block or a book, to have your feet on top of the block or the book. So the soles of the feet are together, the knees are out wide, and then just simply come down onto your back. And it might feel nice to have your hands on your belly as we settle into the practice. Really feeling the weight of your body on the ground. Taking slow, deep breaths. As you're taking those inhales, you can take your awareness to your breath. Maybe visualize the breath, particularly around your pelvis and your hips. Notice as you're taking those breaths, if maybe there's some tension there. And if there's any tension in one particular area of the body, can you visualize sending the breath there? And there might be tension in your body you didn't even know was there. Really feel the ground beneath your head and your back completely supporting you. And the rise and fall of your belly. And if your hands are placed on your belly, maybe you can feel it going up and down. And let that presence you in the room. A few more breaths here like that. Perhaps already you can feel some of that tension's already started to subside. Just 5 more breaths here. And then at the end of your next exhale, I'm just going to use our hands either side of the knees to slowly bring them back up. And then whatever way feels good for you, we're going to roll up to sit, maybe removing the block. And then coming. We're going to come to a cross-leg position, but if that feels really uncomfortable for you, another option is to grab the block and just place it underneath your seat. So really all we want here is a length in the spine. So we're going to start by taking some Suthi rolls, which are one of my favorite names for a yoga position. So take the hands either side of the knees. Deep inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale to let it go. And as you inhale next time, using your hands to push your chest forward. And keep that inhale going as you bring the ribs towards the left. And as you start to exhale, the ribs go back and then over to the right. So what we're doing here is using the breath to create big circles with the ribs and the torso. And you can go completely at your own speed. All we're doing here is just inviting some of that circulation I talked about at the beginning of class. And sometimes it feels nice to have your eyes closed here because you might just want to move in more of an intuitive way. One of the joys of practicing from home is you are in your own space. Next time you come back round to the front, we're just going to take that back round the other way. So right ribs first. Notice if that tension that we had a look at in our bodies just a minute ago, if any of that's showing up here. And as you come back round to the front again, we're going to just find some stillness really briefly. Notice how that feels in your body. It feels good if that little bit of movement feels good on the spine. We're going to take a really similar movement now, but instead of going around in a circle, we're just going to go back and forth with the ribs. Again, using the hands and the knees to push forward and back. So we're going to start off slow, and then I'm going to give the option to get quicker and move with your breath. Now, you might want to take that option if you're approaching ovulation, and that can be a little bit it can be good for the body to create a little bit more heat. But it's completely optional. If it doesn't feel good in your body, just keep it nice and slow. So as you inhale, use the hands on the knees to really bring the chest forward. And as you exhale, round the spine, take the gaze towards the torso and let all the air out. Nice and slow to begin with. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, round and coming back. Inhale and exhale. Now, if you are around ovulation and you wanted to take it a little bit quicker, just start making your movements a little bit quicker with your breath. And as you exhale, you might want to expel the air a little quickly. But if you're happy with the slower movement, please stay there. Sometimes it can be useful if you're on your period as well and it's not too painful to take those quicker movements to encourage the expelling of the lining. Just another couple of breaths here. And at the end of your next exhale, just find some stillness in the middle. Notice any changes. And then really slowly, we're just going to come over onto all fours, whichever way it's good for you. So you want hands underneath the shoulders and knees underneath the hips. Where possible, we want a nice neutral spine. So we're not collapsing into the lower back and we're not overly rounding into the back. From here, we're going to lift the right knee and we're going to start taking some knee circles on the right side. So keeping a bend in the knee. I'm just taking some slow circles. Now again, if you're approaching ovulation, you might want these circles to be a little bit sped up. If you're not, and if you're perhaps just finished your period, you want to keep these nice and slow, encouraging the yin in the body. Couple more like that. And then when you're ready, take the right foot outside the right hand, if you can. And we're just gonna tuck the back toes and inch the back knee back a couple of inches. So we come into a nice low lunge. So here's where we're gonna grab the roll. So hopefully you've already rolled that up and put it to the right of your mat. And then we're just gonna tuck it into the right hip crease here. So you might need to play around with the thickness of your mat, of your roll. And then we're just gonna bend back into our low lunge. So we want to feel a nice compression here, but it shouldn't feel uncomfortable and it shouldn't be painful. So just play around with your thickness. And we're going to bring the hand into prayer and hook the left shoulder over the right knee if possible. And if it feels okay in the neck, then take the gaze to the right of the room, so over your right shoulder. And all we're doing here is compress it into the right side as we open into the left. Maybe you can take the awareness of your breath into the left and the right, almost like a circle like we just took. And your next exhale, we're going to unravel out of this, keeping the roll where it is and framing the right foot with your hands. If possible, we're going to straighten the right leg. And here's where you might want to grab some blocks if you need. And you can place the hands on the blocks as we fold over the right leg, keeping the roll tucked into the hip. We want to lengthen the spine here and the gaze is forward. And if you can, we're going to try and relax over the right legs. This is where the blocks may come in handy. And sending the breath into the back of the body is quite a lot in the hamstrings. And if you can, relax the head and the neck. We're going to take a twist here now. So if it's possible, if you have your block, you can take it to the little toe edge of the right foot. And we're going to place the left hand on the block as the right arm goes up. If you don't have a block, you can just do this on the ground if that's available in your body. And getting a little bit more compression as we twist into the right side. A little bit of balance in on a Sunday morning. One more breath here. And as you exhale, we're going to de-rotate. Move the block to one side for 1 minute and place the blanket just to the right again. Framing the right foot, we're going to tuck the back toes. Take the back foot to flat and come into warrior two. I'm just going to switch sides to show you, but your right leg is bent, your back leg is straight, and the little toe edge of your back foot is on the ground. Arms are out in front and right back behind you, and your gaze is over your right fingertips. From here, we're actually going to move to the other side of the mat. So you can windmill your arms over as we bend into the left knee and keep the right leg straight. We're going to come over and frame the left foot, placing the back knee to the ground, and then drawing the back leg back into all fours again. So we're back into that all fours, but facing the other side of our mat now. So again, taking those knee circles on the left side this time, taking the knee up to the air and just taking big circles with the hip. Again, if you're approaching ovulation, you might want these to be quick. Encourage a bit more circulation. Or if you're in your follicular phase, you might want to actually just slow this down. And you can do what feels good in your body. So there's no exact science to this. If you want to twist your body with it, if you want to move with your breath that way. A couple more here. Really building that circulation into the hips. And then after your next exhale, we're going to place the left foot down on the ground, coming back into a lunge. So framing the left foot. You might need to tuck the back toes and inch the back knee back a couple of inches. And then hopefully your blanket's there on the same side, so you can just grab hold of that and pop it in the hip crease again. As we come into that low lunge, hands into prayer, taking your right elbow and hooking it over the left knee, taking the gaze over your left shoulder if that feels good in the neck. And the back foot could be tucked or flat here, whatever feels good in your knee. And if it's particularly painful in your back knee, you can always put a blanket underneath as well. Visualizing the breath in the left side and moving over to the right, like a circle. And when you're ready, we're going to come forward and de-rotate, frame the left foot, and slide the left leg back to straight. So again, grabbing the blocks if you need, keeping the roll there, and keeping length in the spine as we take the gaze forward. And if you can, we're going to then release over the leg. 1 or 2 breaths here. And if you take it on the other side, we're going to go into that twist. So maybe grabbing hold of your block and bringing it to your little toe edge of your left foot. Placing your right hand on that block and taking the left arm up to the air. Gaze can be up towards your fingertips or down to the ground, as feels good in your neck. And then you're ready, you're going to release out of that one, take the block off of the mat, bend into the left knee and release the roll. Just pop that again to the side. This time we're going to take the left foot out slightly to the left, so our hands are now inside the left leg. Placing the right hand out to the right slightly, we're going to reach up with the left and then back towards the back of your mat, open into the back of the body and into the front of the chest. And if you want to, you can take your left foot onto your little toe edge, so keeping your toes engaged so we don't sickle into the ankle. Really breathe here. It can be easy in some harder positions to hold the breath. And when you're ready, we're going to bring the left hand over back onto the mat. We're going to tuck the back toes and then just come all the way along the long edge of your mat into a wide leg forward fold. So really release all of the body here, completely relax. You can have a little bend in the knees. You want to make sure that the little toe edge of both feet is firmly on the ground. No need to have dead straight legs here though. Maybe you want to tuck your hands into your elbows so you can sort of ragdoll over the legs. And then really simply, we're just going to take the right hand to the middle of the mat and take the left hand up to the sky, and maybe your gaze up to your left hand as well. But if that feels bad in the neck, just keep it down to the ground. And as you exhale, replace the right hand with the left and take the right hand up to the ceiling. And breathe in here as you twist into the right. And as you exhale, place the hand back down and then come all the way back to the front of your mat again. So we're now facing back where we started. Place the back knee down on the ground, take the right foot out to the right slightly. And as we did on the other side, place the left hand down and the right hand up to the ceiling and then back to the back of the mat. And if you want to, come onto the little toes of the right foot as you open into the right hip more. And then bring the right hand back down to the ground. Take the right foot back to meet the left and just slowly come into a brief child's pose. And you can take child's pose whenever you need if any of this is a lot for you. We're going to take that round again, hopefully a little bit smoother. I know I use a lot of props, but hopefully we know where we're going now. So as you inhale, coming out of child's, up into all fours. And lifting the right knee, taking those knee circles on the right side. Again, if you're approaching ovulation, you might like to make this a bit more rapid. So this time bringing the right knee in with the inhale and then really shooting the right foot back with the exhale. If you're not approaching ovulation, if you're in any other part of the cycle, particularly the first half, let's make this nice and slow and use the whole body. So you can maybe bring the right knee to the left elbow as you make sort of figure 8 shape with your knee. But it might actually be nice to just close your eyes and move in a way that your body actually wants. There's no science here, it's just slow movements, encouraging circulation through the body. And after your next exhale, we're going to place the right foot at the top of the mat and tuck the back toes and coming into our lunge again. Hopefully your roll is nearby, and we'll tuck that into the right hip, bringing the left elbow to the outside of the right knee and the gaze over the right shoulder if you can. Again, you can have the back toes tucked or untucked. It kind of depends how it feels on your knee. Exhale, coming out of that one, keeping the roll where it is. We're just going to straighten the right leg, grabbing hold of those blocks if you need, and coming straight into the twist this time. So taking the block to the outside edge of the right foot, or the fingertips to the ground. Right arm up to the ceiling as we twist. Remembering to breathe in these balancing positions, we can hold the breath. Exhaling, coming out of that one. Bending the front knee, removing the roll. And placing any blocks to the side if you've used them. Tucking the back toes, taking the back foot to flat, and again up into warrior two ever so briefly. Taking that warrior two to the other side, so bending into the left knee and facing the back of your mat again. Going to frame the left foot and drop the back knee, and then bring the left knee to meet the right as we take those hip circles again. So if you're approaching ovulation, we're going to be short and sharp and quick with the breath. So inhale, exhale. And if you're outside of that part of your phase, we're just going to take nice simple rolls with the hip and the knee. Maybe twisting a little bit more. Sometimes it feels really good to not be directed with our bodies and actually close your eyes and feel what you need. After your next exhale, we're going to draw the left foot to the top of the mat and inch the back knee back if you need. Grabbing hold of your roll and placing it in between the hip. Taking the hands to prayer and coming into that twist. And taking your gaze to your left if it feels okay. Noticing how this feels in your body. If the compression and the release feels good. And when you're ready, just going to rotate out of that one. Place the hands either side of the foot, straightening the left leg and taking the toes to the ceiling. Coming straight into the twisted variation. So grabbing hold of a block to the left little toe edge of your foot, or just simply taking your fingertips to the ground. Left arm up to the ceiling as we twist. Lovely, ladies. One more breath in. As you exhale, bending into the left knee to come out, releasing the roll back to the ground. Taking the left foot slightly out to the left. And this time placing the right hand down, you can either take the left arm back as we did before, or if you like, we're going to bring the right foot up to the left hand if it's available to you. And then try and twist open so we get a bit more of an opening into the chest. Again, you can come onto the little toe edge of the left foot if that feels good. And really push the right foot into the hand. One more breath here. And then slowly release the back foot. Try not to let it ping back. And then bring the left hand down to the ground as we really slowly come back through that wide leg forward fold we took before. So we're facing the long edge of your mat. Taking the right hand to the middle of the mat straight away this time, taking the left arm up to the ceiling. Option here to take the left hand all the way around the back of the body and seeing if you can grab hold of the right thigh. If that's not available, just stay where you are. Again, gaze can be down to the ground or up to the ceiling. Releasing out of that one and bringing the left fingertips down, taking the right fingertips up to the ceiling. And if you did on the other side, seeing if you can take the right hand all the way around and reach your left thigh. And when you're ready, just releasing out of that one. Coming all the way round the long edge of the mat. So we're now facing the top of your mat again, framing your right foot, dropping the back knee, taking the right foot out to the right. And then either taking the right hand to the back of the mat, or if you can, seeing if you can grab hold of that back foot. And opening into the front of the body. And it might be different on this side. We use our bodies in different ways on different sides, particularly as women, we can wear a bag on one side. And then slowly releasing the back foot, trying not to let it ping. Taking the right hand back to the mat, and then just bringing the right foot to meet the left and dropping back into a child's pose for a couple of breaths. Noticing if your breath has crept up. One more round like that. I'm going to give a couple of different options this time, but feel free to take the options that we just took, particularly if you've just finished your period and you're still a little bit depleted maybe. So we're going to try and stick to the more yin poses. But if you feel like you've got a lot of energy this morning on Sunday, we're going to take one more round like that, and then we'll finish with some nice nourishing yin. So coming back into all fours again, with your right knee out to the side. Again, if you're approaching ovulation, this time you might like to take the left hand out in front. I'm hitting my Christmas tree now. Taking your right leg behind you, and then just as you exhale, bringing them into the middle. And if you are not in that part of your cycle, you can either take those circles we took before, or if you like, you can bend the right foot, take the left arm up and see if you can grab hold of the back foot and really stretch and open. So whichever option feels good for you, we'll just be here for a couple of breaths this time. Really kick that back foot back into your hand. You'll find you get a little bit more balance there. And when you're ready, whichever version you're in, releasing that down, test your balance, see if you can keep your right knee off the ground as we bring the right foot back down to the top of the mat. Tucking the back toes, you might need to scooch your back knee back a little bit. And we know where we're going. We're going to grab the roll and tuck it in. Taking the hands to prayer, and the left elbow to the right knee. Option here, as I said, we can take things a little bit further, so we can tuck the back toes and take the back knee off the ground, only if that feels good for you. And listen to your body. If your back knee is lifted, you might want to try the next version, keeping that lifted, otherwise drop it back down. I'm going to frame the right foot, and if your leg is lifted, we're just going to bring the back foot in a couple of inches. If it's on the ground, we're just going to come back into that half Hanuman we took before. So if your back foot is lifted, it's a similar position that we were in before, but this time we're going to just fold over the front leg. And the same if your back knee's on the ground. It's just a little bit more of an opening into the hamstrings if you fancy that on a Sunday morning. Taking the gaze forward, just going to release the roll. Tucking the back toes if your back knee's on the ground, and scooting your back foot back if it's off the ground. And coming into that warrior two again, ever so briefly, as we switch back into warrior two to the back of the mat. Windmilling the hands down either side of the left foot, and then taking whichever options of the knee circles we took. So if you're approaching an ovulation, taking the right fingertips up to the ground, and as you exhale, bring the knee into the elbow. And if you took the other version, I'm just going to bend the back knee, take the right hand up, and seeing if you can grab hold of your back foot and really push into that for an opening. An option to keep those circles going if you like those as well. Just a couple more breaths like that. And then really steady, maybe testing your balance, seeing if you can bring your left foot to the ground at the top of the mat. Maybe taking the back knee back so you can come into a lunge. Grabbing that roll for the last time in this flow and tucking it into the hip. Bringing your hands into prayer. And if you did on the other side, you might want to tuck your back toes and lift your back knee. But no obligation to do that. And if your back knee is lifted, just frame the left foot and bring the back foot in ever so slightly, straightening the left leg, and folding over. If your back knee's on the ground, we're just going to straighten the left leg and fold over the leg. Listening to your body this morning. All of the options I give are just a guide. And when you're ready, we're going to release the back knee to the ground, remove the roll, popping it to the side. Take the left foot out to the left again, so the left toes can point to the left corner of your mat. Option here to take the left hand back as we have done. Grab hold of the back foot if you like that option. And if you want to take it a little bit further again, we can actually come down onto our forearms on the right side, if that's available in your body, and just close off your shoulders. Really big stretch into the right front hip after all of that compression. One more breath here. And then releasing the back foot, coming all the way through into that wide leg forward fold again. Taking the right hand to the middle of the mat, left hand up to the ceiling. Taking your left hand to your right thigh if you did before. And then option, if you want to take it even further, take your right hand to your left shin and twist. Just rotate out that one. Left hand to the mat, right fingertips to the ceiling. Option to stay here or bring your right hand to your left thigh and your left hand to your right shin as you twist. And rotating out of that one. And then coming all the way around the long edge of your mat to face the front of your mat. Dropping the back knee. Taking the right foot out to the right. Taking the right fingertips back behind you. Seeing if you can grab the back foot. And then option to come onto your left forearm if you took that on the other side. If you're on your forearm, maybe just see if you can bring your shoulders more square to the mat and help you get a deeper stretch into your thigh. Notice if your breath has crept up. And when you're ready, just releasing that back foot if you have it. Bring the hands inside of your right foot Keep your right foot where it is this time. Tuck the back toes and just see if you can come into Malasana, so into squat. So we're just going to tuck the back toes and see if we can bring the left foot to the other side of the mat. And if you can't, just stand up and come into the squat. And if you've got a block or a prop, maybe place that underneath your seat today as you come into Malasana. I like it with a block underneath. If you don't, then no worries. I just think you get a little bit more length in the spine, and actually it feels a little bit more comfortable, especially after all of that hip opening. I'm just going to be here for a couple of breaths just to slow it down before we come into our yin. And taking the awareness of your breath down to your pelvis and your hips. And when you're ready, just releasing the block from underneath you and coming down to sit. So as we come into yin now, we're going to need the roll still if you've been using it. So make sure you've got that to hand. And then any other props you've got, like blocks and bolsters, they're always great. Also, your temperature's probably going to drop now as we're moving much less. We're more static in our poses. So if you want to grab a jumper or some socks, now's a good time and have them around you. So we're going to start laying on our backs today into our yin. And then just keeping the left sole of the foot to the ground. Just draw the right knee in. And if you like and you want to, you can grab your roll and tuck it into the right hip. If you've been enjoying that part of the practice, it's really nice to bring it in here too. I actually really like this with the roll, no matter what, because I think you get just a nice feeling of hugging the body in. So option to stay here. This feels really nice for you. If you want to, we're going to come into half happy baby. So all you're going to do is spread your right arm on the inside of the right leg and see if you can grab hold of the little toe edge of the right foot and draw the right knee down. And keeping that roll in there for compression. Now, if it's not available to grab the little toe edge of the right foot, you can actually just grab onto your ankle. Or if you've got some leggings or something on, you can actually just grab hold of that as well. Another option, if you find that the left leg is causing you some constriction, if you've got a cushion or a bolster, you can place the left foot on top, and that might help you get a little bit more on the right side. And the left leg can be out straight if that feels good. It really is what feels good in your body. Every single person here today is going to have a different preference. And everything I'm saying is a guide. I'm going to try and talk a little bit less through this section as you go more inside and feel more intuitively. And if this feels good for you and you're happy here, please stay here. If you'd like to take this into more of a hip opener, you can bring the left sole of the foot either to the ground or to a cushion. And then we're just going to place the right ankle over the left thigh. So into a sort of figure 4 shape. You can keep the roll here as well. And all we're going to do is draw the knees into the chest as you thread your right arm through the gap in your legs and grab hold of either your thigh or your shin on the left leg. And this is just a little bit more opening into the outer hips. And keeping the right foot flexed here is going to protect the knee, but the left foot can be completely relaxed. If this feels really good in your body, just stay here. If you want a little bit more opening into the outer hip, you can keep the roll where it is, but we're simply going to just knock the whole shape of your legs just over to the left. So the sole of the right foot can be on the ground. And if it's available, with your left hand, you could maybe grab hold of your right ankle and move that up slightly. But this is a lot more opening on the right side, and you might feel this really in the outer hip. So if you get to it and it doesn't feel good in your body, just go back to where you were. There's no reason why you can never go back. Just 5 more breaths here. At the end of your next exhale, just draw that whole shape back up and then release your legs. You can leave the roll where it is as well. Feels nice in the belly sometimes. And just bring both knees into the chest and take a little rock before we go on to the other side. And then when you're ready, placing the right sole of the foot to the ground or to a cushion. And draw the left knee in. You might want to put that roll back into the hip crease if it's not there. And just give yourself a hug on the left side. The left ankle's nice and relaxed. And if you want to, and you did before, just thread the left arm through the inner side of the left leg and grab hold of the little toe edge of your left foot, drawing the knee down to the ground. And again, if that's not available, just grab your left ankle or your leggings or trousers at the top and play around with the positioning of the right leg. You might like it straight, you might like it bent, you might like it on a cushion. So through a few breaths here. And if you want to, and you did on the other side, bring the sole of the right foot to the ground and place the left ankle on top of the right thigh. And then thread the left hand through that gap in your legs, grabbing hold of the shin or the back of the thigh. You want to keep your spine on the ground where possible. If you find that you're really crunching up, you can place the cushion underneath your head. Use whatever support you have around you. And if you took it on the other side, I'm just going to release the legs and just knock them over to the right side, placing the sole of the left foot onto the ground, maybe taking your right hand to that left ankle, opening into the left side if that feels good. And it might feel different on either side, so you can always go back. A few more breaths here. And when you're ready, bring the whole shape back up and hug the knees into the chest. And you should be nice and set to just fall into your Shavasana now. I really love to keep the blanket across the belly here as a sort of weight. That's an option. And you can either come with your legs out completely straight, or option to finish the class how we started in Supta Baddha Konasana, but without the feet on the block. You might have had enough of any hip opening now. Feel the weight of your body on the ground. There is no controlling life. Try coralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado down a stream, and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in the wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. Inviting some movement into your fingers and toes. Drawing the knees into the chest. Just rocking over to your left side, your feminine side. Staying here for one breath. And using your top arm to push you up to sit. And come into any comfortable position that feels good for you. Just going to finish by keeping the eyes closed, taking the fingertips out to the sides. Inhale, bring everything up and around you. Bring the hands to touch into prayer overhead. Draw them down the center line. Thank yourself for making the time this morning. Thank you so much for coming to practice with me. Namaste. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
I'm glad.
What a lovely
Any
way to
questions?
spend Sunday morning.
I know. That's the thing now. You have to get on with the rest of your day. That's the morning practice.
Well, hopefully we can continue this feeling throughout the day.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions at all, please, you can either unmute your microphone and ask them, or pop them in the chat, and we can put those to Natalie. I have just put in Natalie's Instagram, so someone saying thank you so much. That was really lovely.
You're so kind.
So Natalie is currently running a 6-week women's health class series. I think it's focusing on yoga and relaxation. There's only 2 sessions left in this block, but if you'd like to join for those last 2 sessions, Natalie has really kindly offered a discounted joining fee of only £5 per session for anyone that's here today. So if you would like to book those and get in touch, please contact Natalie on Instagram or get in touch with us and we can connect you. When are those sessions? Is it a Thursday?
It's a Thursday night, that's right, yeah, at 7 o'clock. But yeah, there's only 2 left now. But I will be running it again in the new year. So
okay,
yeah,
great. So yes, please do check that out. Someone has asked, do you do couples yoga for connection?
I haven't ever done that, no. But it's something that I could do. I definitely do one-to-one. So everybody's one-to-ones are completely for them really and tailored completely. So if that's something you need, then we definitely could.
Yeah, and I know you focus a lot on women's health. Do you ever do any yoga for male fertility or to help men on their journey?
I don't, because there's never really very much call for it. It was actually covered in my training. So there is definitely things that we could work on. We do cover it, but I think a lot of the times everything I do is try to be a bit more around the actual cycle. So it's a bit more tailored to women.
And if someone's partner wanted to join in one of these sessions, could they, or is there anything in that you'd recommend they didn't do?
There's nothing they couldn't do. It just wouldn't benefit them in the same way. And I try to tailor it a bit to being a woman. So it would be better for a private, really.
Are there any postures that are contradictions for conception? So anything?
There's not really anything that's like a contraindication. I know a lot of the times that we're kind of taught, particularly in regular yoga, that if you're not to jump or anything, if you're in the last 2 weeks for implantation, but there actually isn't any science or research around that. But having gone through it myself, I don't jump in the last week, because you know, if there ever was anything, it would be in your head, wouldn't it? So jumping can sometimes be a contraindication. I know sometimes as well people talk about in the bottom half of your cycle, if you're doing inversions, again though, that's not actually like backed up by any science or anything. And actually downward dog is an inversion, and that's fine. So there are different things if you're actually going through fertility, assisted fertility, particularly around that time. Perhaps more yin postures is something that's going to help more, because it's going to calm the mind for one, and also you're not going to be moving the body too much. So I think if you're having assisted fertility, particularly around days of treatment, you might want to do more yin.
Yeah, and if people do conceive, should they continue yoga as normal, or would they pause?
Yeah, I absolutely think yoga once you conceive is amazing. I actually don't teach pregnancy yoga, but I have a lot of friends that do. So you could just fall quickly into pregnancy yoga. Though I'd say in the first 3 months, you can kind of do any yoga. Again, you probably want to avoid like jumping around too much, but there isn't really that much yoga where you jump loads.
Yeah.
And then also after the first 3 months, you need to be careful with yin. So that's holding the long postures for a long amount of time, because with the relaxing, you might find that you're all of a sudden very flexible, but actually you're not, and that's what can cause like a lot of pelvic pain towards the end of your pregnancy. So just being a little bit mindful of yin after the first 3 months.
Yeah, and I suppose if people listen to their body and do what they feel is helpful for them.
Yeah, exactly. And some people just actually stop doing yin altogether, but actually when you're pregnant, it might be really nice to do some yin, but just really consciously only holding the poses for about a minute. Also, you probably don't want to be on your back a lot, so that's another thing.
Yeah, it's what's comfortable, I guess, as well.
Exactly, and that's what I'm all about. Like everything I say is just a guide, and everybody's body is completely different, so if it ever feels uncomfortable, then just don't do it.
Yeah. And I guess for people like me who are maybe not so flexible, it's okay that you're maybe not so comfortable in all the poses. You just take it gently and do what you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't need to have the flexibility. This is why I'm such a big advocate for props, because actually I think that they can support you so much in your practice. Even if you are really flexible, often you're really flexible because you're hypermobile, so it's actually too much into the joint. So using the blocks to support you and the bolsters and all of the other things, I think is a perfect way of moving in the flow, and not overextending yourself. You definitely don't need to be flexible in yoga. Just bend your knees. Always bend your knees.
If in doubt, bend. Someone else is saying that's so informative, and lots of appreciation coming through. So yeah, thank you so much for that. It was a really lovely, relaxing session. And as I said, if anybody's got any questions, you can get in touch with Natalie on Instagram or contact us and we'll connect you. And we will have this recording in the playback section on the app. So if anyone wants to do this again, you can go there and you can watch it back. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. And thank you, Natalie. I hope everyone has a lovely Sunday. Thank you so much.